The new book, one, From Then to Now, states that it has taken Dwayne lifetimes to step into the new wave is the rod of power. This is a past life and adventure like no other. All life is beyond the gods of men, and very few discover this. Take the risk. Read this new book. www.dwaynethegreatwriter.info. Someday, hopefully, there'll be millions of people reading these very words. And this world may continue to deteriorate and become unfit for the humans to live here. But these words give us an opportunity to earn our way out of this psych realm stuff. I guess when we're tempered enough and have had enough experiences so that the real guides can escort us through what's called the deep, dark border into real universes where there's real freedom and real love. So if anyone new is getting to hear these words, this is a real opportunity to not take for granted. You find out for yourself the new you song, and the new books are beginning to test for yourself. I just am so thankful to be involved with people on this earth that are involved with this new presentation. And hopefully, or maybe it'll be so that is the most important thing in our lives and why we came here to help present this.
Yeah, I like New Book One. It was the first book I read. It's pretty cool, Goldie. Goldie going on adventures out in the Midwest, out by California, by the Pacific. It's pretty cool teaching people how to be more, I suppose, concerned about the all-natural environment, more connected to it in his own way. Thought it was really cool how he could talk to animals and stuff. I wanted to learn how to do that too.
Tell him where to get the books at.
Well, you can get the books at wonderfulworldwideeducators.com.
Or,
well, I don't know, where else? What, lulu.com? What?
Has anybody had any real side experiences they'd like to talk about, which are what us humans are used to calling dreams, but actually this stuff that we experience while we're so-called awake is really the dream compared to the dream being reality. I had a dream last night. I was learning how to play some kind of a long tube instrument. I was trying to make it work, and I just got to make it start to make the beginning of the sound it's supposed to make in my efforts. It was interesting that it just doesn't come easy, maybe for some of us, to accomplish certain things when we're trying. And that's kind of like learning how to present this to the world. And we're getting some wonderful guidance from Dwayne. So I guess we'll just see what it turns into, what it is right now. Just seems like there's so few that are paying attention, even here in this little speck of dust called Earth. But I guess things can change real fast too. Just like all of a sudden lightning strikes.
Well, if I may say, it seems, I'm Carol, it seems to me more and more people are waking up, but there's, just many, many, many programmed, that are not going to wake up. And it's, my understanding that, all of this negative stuff that's down here, like on the, lower level, type of stuff. My understanding that, it's all going to be gone. Going to be gone. Through some like solar flash or something like that that's supposed to occur. They're saying, I think, like sometime by the spring type of thing.
I think more people need to wake up. Not enough people are waking up to what's really going on. Yeah, there's a lot of people, but we need more people, like everyone.
This is Bob. Can I say something? I have to say that what we're dealing with is, this may be an overgeneralization, but when we're trying to reach people and share this with people, we're dealing with two general sets of people. One set of people don't really care about what we're saying because they believe that they're going to be saved by a savior God. And so if they get killed and the earth is destroyed and all that, their savior is going to resurrect them and they're going to live for life eternal by being saved. So their attitude is despondent. They really don't care about, all these things. They're expecting all these things to happen, and if they get killed in the process, why they're just giving their life for their savior, and so they think they're earning brownie points in heaven. The other group of people are people that don't believe in God. They don't believe in life after death, and they believe that when they die, it's all over, and it doesn't matter a hill of beans. And who cares what's going to be on this planet after they die, because it's not going to affect them at all anyway. So we're dealing with two different groups of people here. And the problem is, both of those concepts are not true. Neither one is true. You're not going to be saved, and when you die, it's not over. So people need to start looking into it and say, well, what if I don't get saved by my Savior? What's going to happen? Or what happens if I survive and I'm still alive after my body is killed off? So maybe people need to look at that a little bit closer and come from a different angle and say, maybe we should look into these things. Maybe, if somebody's offering a different perspective on things, which Dwayne the Great Writer is definitely doing, he's presenting an alternative to the general ideas that most people have. And as you're saying, if people would just break down and read new book number 1, The Adventures of Revs Tires, and just get some insight into how some people have the ability, and not only the dream, but they have an active life while they're sleeping. Well, that's just an introduction to what's possible and what life is all about. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I see what you're saying, and the thing I see though, that there's like another group of people too that are less self-convinced, and they're kind of in between. They're trying to see what makes sense, and they're not like self-convinced, and those are the ones that are really ready to see what we're doing, and it's a challenge to reach them. But also the ones that are on that scientific, literal side, science is now like basically backing up a lot of what we say without obviously a real understanding of what we're presenting. But things, they've proved how, thought can, one person's thoughts can change, the experience of everybody on the planet, and things like this. And how, the so-called consciousness of a being never dies. So people with these literal, ideas or atheists, whatever you want to call them, they've got nothing to back it up anymore. And then the religious people and spiritual people, everything is outdated, and that's becoming more and more obvious. So not everybody's like seeing it right now, but it's interesting. Like I said, one person's thoughts can affect everybody's experience here on the planet, because it's cause and effect creation, and we're all in the same life here. So as we here with the new presentation become more aware, and we focus on what we can see that makes sense to create here for everybody, and we keep focusing on that, then, and you see it like it's already done, then eventually you'll get there. And so realistically, just the small group of people that we have now is affecting the whole planet. And so as we keep going, it'll just get easier as we become more aware of how to create this. So right now it's a challenge, especially because how things are. But if you really, that's why Dwayne says it's really important to recognize how things are, because when you really understand what's going on here, you're more motivated to do something and to recognize what does make sense. And then that's what you want to do. So you figure out how to get there. So yeah, we're really lucky because Dwayne's been at it a long time, and he's really figured out a lot of stuff, and it's all for us as well as the whole of life. So he's given us a big head start, and with that, there's a lot more to come, and it's going to be a real adventure. So yeah, we got to get ready, and in that sense, it means like just drop all those parts of ourselves that are like what you mentioned, Bob, all these the literal parts, the La La Land parts, or however you want to, call them. But there's all these parts to our personal selves and all the 5 bodies, like Dwayne was mentioning today. And there's all these parts to all the 5 bodies that we don't need and that don't create a benefit for us and for the whole of life. And so when we're experiencing creation here with those parts of our personal self, then we're not creating a benefit, and we're affecting everybody here in such a way. So it's really important to just be now and do what makes sense now every moment according to your real awareness. And that's a process, but it's like, it goes back to what Tim read too, is that having this real connection with the natural environment, that is really cool, because the natural environment is awesome, and it's just a reflection of the true reality. It's a small part of the true reality life is, and we're these awesome, endless beings of light. And so from that, we come into creation, and we have we have a natural environment on Earth. That's a tiny little speck of dust in the whole of life, and compared to our real beings too. So when you watch the natural environment and learn to appreciate it, experience it through gratitude and things, then you become more grateful for what life is, and then you become more amazed and humbled by what you really are. So it's really pretty cool how it works. And then you can let go of all these ideas that we've held on to that keep us from getting more experience, like talking to animals, or there's endless things we can, not endless, but there's a lot of things we can do here in creation to gain more experience and become more aware. And it goes a lot further than talking to animals and these things. And there's a lot of them are really cool, but we've got to take the time to figure them out. And it's not about thrills, but it's about becoming more aware and sharing that awareness with others so we can all become more aware. So yeah, it's an adventure and a challenge at the same time, but it wouldn't be an adventure without the challenge. So
I'd like to point out something else, is that when we present all these ideas of what's going on in the planet, like the chemtrails and all these type of things. This morning I watched the U.S. Farm Report that tells the condition of farms, and they had a special on a river in Maine that the freshwater mussels are dying off at an extremely rapid rate. The environment is being destroyed, and they brought in top marine experts, and they can't figure out what's killing all these mussels. They're about like 3 or 4 inches in diameter and an inch thick, and they filter the poisons out of the water, and they're dying so so fast. The entire ecology of that whole area has been destroyed. Well, the thing is, and even like the 9/11 event, where you can there's enough people out there, they've written books about it, that there was no aircraft that flew into the World Trade Center. It was not aircraft that brought the building down, but it was rather an advanced weapon of mass destruction that brought the World Trade Centers down. And the reason people can't see that is because they're living in fear. And when people live in fear, they can't see things. They're blinded to it. And so if people are rejecting us, it's just a big indication of what their fear level is. They're like, and also like, some people don't want to hear about the religion, because some people have spent their whole life in their religion, and they don't want to hear that there's something wrong with their religion, because then they will find out that they've wasted their entire life on something that was false, and they turn a deaf ear to it. So fear is a big factor for people, and I would say that I would tell the general public, if they cannot see what we're sharing with them, like the forest fires in Australia, and how laser type particle beam weapons or laser weapons were used in California, starting all those fires, just like it is in Australia, destroying buildings. They say it's forest fires, and you'll have a building that disappeared right in the middle of the forest. The trees are unharmed, but the building is gone. The house or business is gone. Well, that's not natural. It was not a forest fire. They were lied to by the government. So there's another thing. A lot of people think that the government is true to them, but they need to wake up that the government is not true, and everything that they tell the people. So I just throw that out real quick.